Miss Maudie Atkinson baked a lane cake so loaded with shiny it made me tired. In 1960, American writer Harper Lee released her groundbreaking debut novel To Kill a Mockingbird into the world. Centered around racial injustice in the American South, human morality, and the loss of innocence, the book faced both outstanding praise and extreme criticism at the time of its release, as well as, surprisingly and unsurprisingly, today. Told from the perspective of 6-year-old Scout Finch, based on experiences from Harper Lee's own childhood, the story is told with an unflinching honesty that illuminates the horrific truths of a society laden with hate, injustice, and oppression. Set in Alabama, Lee references the state dessert, lane cake, a number of times. I'll make him a lane cake. That Stephanie's been after my recipe for 30 years, and if she thinks I'll give it to her just because I'm staying with her, she's got another thing coming. A week ago, I filmed myself baking a lane cake for this literary cooking video. It was intense. I ran out of ingredients, burned frosting, there were highs and lows. But the biggest low was that I lost almost all of the video footage. So instead, I'll walk you through the recipe using Claire from the Bon Appetit Test Kitchen as the ingredient model. She is not making a lane cake, but it's close enough. The first step is to mix the dry ingredients. 3¼ cups flour, 2 teaspoons baking powder, and the recipe says 1 to 16 teaspoons salt. Maybe that's a typo. I used 2 teaspoons of salt. In a separate bowl, mix 1 cup of butter, 2 cups of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Then, using a mixer, you'll want to incorporate 8 egg whites. Separating egg yolks from the egg whites was new for me. I had never done it before, but it was kind of satisfying. Add the whites to the mixture in increments of 4, so 2 at a time until they're all mixed in. Just like what Claire's doing, except you'll use the egg whites. Make sure to put the yolks aside for later. Next, slowly fold the flour mixture into the egg mixture while also adding 1 cup of milk. Maybe it's a good thing my cooking footage got deleted. Claire has a better idea of what we should be doing. I did not line the pans with parchment paper, nor did I spray them with cooking spray, but I think that's an important step, so I'm glad Claire remembered. Next step is to pour the batter into 4 baking pans. If you only have 1 or 2 pans, that's fine. You just have to cook a few batches of cakes, but in the end, ideally you'll end up with 4 cake layers. These you'll cook at 375 degrees for about 20 minutes. In the meantime, you can start the filling. This is what makes a lane cake a lane cake. In a saucepan over the stove, you'll want to beat the egg yolks from earlier and add 1 cup of sugar and 1/2 cup of butter. Stir until the mixture becomes thick. Then add 1 cup of bourbon, 1 teaspoon vanilla, and 1 cup chopped raisins. Hear me out. I myself do not like raisins, but spoiler alert, this cake was so delicious in the end, I did not mind the raisins at all. But if you really can't stand dried grapes, I read online that they can be swapped out for other dried fruit like dried peaches or apricots, and nuts like pecans, or if you're in the south, pecans. So cook this on moderate heat until your house is blasted with the sweetest, most mouth-watering aroma, then take the pan off the heat so the mixture can cool and thicken. The lane cake was first whipped up by Emma Rylander Lane of Clayton, Alabama for a contest at a county fair in Columbus, Georgia. It won first prize. In 1898, she released the recipe under the name Prize Cake, but since then it's been remembered as Lane Cake. After you pull your cakes from the oven, let them cool for a few minutes, then stack them on top of each other, spreading the raisin filling between each layer. Here are my only surviving video clips, so at least you can see the end result. Last step is the frosting. The recipe told me to use a boiled frosting recipe, so I found one online, but I walked into it blindly and it was a disaster. I substituted maple syrup for corn syrup, brown sugar for regular sugar, and halfway through it told me to use a thermometer to check the temperature. I don't own a thermometer. Long story short, I burnt it and it tasted terrible, so instead I used my Aunt Paula's no-fail frosting recipe. Using your mixer, combine 3¼ cup confectioner's sugar, 1/2 cup of shortening, and 1/4 cup cold water. Then frost your cake and you're gold. You've made lane cake! In the book, Tom Robinson, a black man accused of raping a white woman, is proven innocent yet is unjustly found guilty and thrown in jail. Scout, her older brother Jem, and their friend Dill return home from the trial upset, defeated, and finally understanding how unfairly humans treat other humans. In an effort to cheer them up, Miss Maudie prepares the kids cakes. She realizes this experience has made them, especially Jem, grow up. There was a big cake and 2 little ones on Miss Maudie's kitchen table. There should have been 3 little ones, but we understood when she cut from the big cake and gave this last to Jem.